My guest today is Mark Hodges, principal of Blueprint Strategic Consulting. Mark, you run a home building consulting business now, but previously as senior vice president of K. Hovnanian Homes during the Great Recession, you dealt, and very successfully, with some of the same issues that builders are facing now. What are some strategies you learned that would make it easier to attract more prospects and to gain a commitment from them during the current uncertain times?
Well, yes, Denise, that's a great question and a really important issue for builders today. Under the uncertain times that we live in because of the pandemic, buyers are very reticent and very nervous about moving ahead with a home purchase decision. So I recommend the following things. First of all, your website. While we all know that website shopping, internet shopping before visiting communities is the new way of shopping for homes. That's how people begin their search. But it's more important now than ever because of the pandemic and because of private tours, et cetera. So if you aren't absolutely certain that your website sings, that it's navigable, that it's interactive, that it provides great visual support to prospective buyers, you're missing it. So get onto your website and take a look at it as you were a prospective buyer and make sure that the virtual tours of your models are as good as they can be because the industry has great virtual tour capacity. Make sure your site plans are interactive. Make sure that but consider doing drone flyovers of your communities because if you've got a great site, show it off with flyovers. Make sure you've got really good photography of your homes, move-in ready homes, the inventory homes. Make sure that you've got really good photography there. Make sure to explain to people who are visiting your website how it works in the new world under the pandemic. Have it explained on your website. You do private tours. You disinfect your homes. You're ready to take them to the home sites in a carefully safe, managed tour that they can do by themselves. It's really important that you explain to them what the process is going to be like in the new world. So make sure your websites are really lickety split. Also, it's a good idea to have online sales representatives. Don't wait a couple days or 3 or 4 days to get back to them before responding. In fact, when they're on your website, have somebody join them on the website and offer to chat. The best builders are doing that, and people are accepting the chats and making appointments right online. So definitely have an online sales representative watching to make sure that when someone goes onto your website, they're serious now. People aren't doing this casually these days. If they're coming to look and they want to make an appointment, they're serious home shoppers, so get right after it. So that's the first thing I would do. The second thing I would do is a lot of builders ask buyers to go right into contract. They don't allow them to make home site reservations or home reservations before going into contract. I understand that. The motivation for that is if you want to buy a house, make up your mind and sign a contract. But in today's world, people are very reticent about the stock market, about their jobs, about selling their home, about the mortgage marketplace, which is really good now. I recommend that you engage in a two-step process. Allow prospective home buyers, when they've made their private tour of your community, to make a non-binding reservation. Take $1,000 or $2,000, reserve a home and a home site for, used to be 14 days. I recommend being willing to do so for up to 30 days, so long as you have a right of first refusal. If another prospect comes into you and wants to buy that home site, you give the first holder of the reservation 48, 72 hours to make a decision to go under contract or forfeit their reservation. So you don't have to take the home off the market, but you can reserve it for this buyer that they can make their final decision. Buyers will appreciate it, and they'll go home on Sunday night, not with just the idea of your community, but with a home and a home site in their minds, a deeper emotional connection with their non-binding reservation. Non-binding or not, they've made an emotional commitment to that home and that community. It'll help you to get them to convert them to contract.
That's great advice. So what happens after that if they do get cold feet? For those buyers already under contract, what can you do to allay their fears and worries about moving forward?
This is happening, Denise. It's happening all over the place. People get cold feet and they say, "What have we done?" And everybody encounters buyer's remorse.
Yeah.
Decision, they plop their money down and they go, "Oh my God, what have we done? Is this the right house, the right builder, the right neighborhood?" It's even more scary today because they're worried about their jobs, the stock market, the economy. What's going to happen if we have another breakout of the coronavirus? What's going to happen? And so people are really reticent. And it's happening now that they're asking to get out of contracts because they're frightened. First thing and most important thing is be empathetic. Understand what they're going through. Be thoughtful about the fact that they're nervous and frightened and scared about this big investment that they're making in uncertain times. Don't threaten. Don't threaten to keep their deposits or tell them they're under contract. Be thoughtful, be empathetic. That act alone will make them more comfortable that they can trust you to work with them throughout this uncomfortable time. And most of them will be more willing to say, okay, they're working with me. They understand my concerns. They're worried for me. And I appreciate that. Then you may need to offer to suspend construction of their home for a short time, 30 days, 45, 60 days. Expensive, you don't like to have your homes empty, but it's way less expensive to keep that buyer, even if you suspend construction for a while they get more comfortable, than it is to lose them and have to resell the house to another buyer. We all know this. And so be really thoughtful about it and try to work with them rather than simply keep their deposit money and let them out. You'll save customers if you do that.
Tell us, what can builders focus on really to protect their profits during this time?
Well, it relates to my comments about the supply chain, but it extends to the trade partner relationship as well. Cycle time is key, and it's been increasing across the country. I have clients all over the U.S., and cycle times are expanding, mostly caused by the labor crisis that our industry's been experiencing growingly, problematically over the last several years, but now exacerbated by the pandemic and by material supply issues, et cetera. If it took you 4 months to build a house and now it's taking 6 or 7, your profit is being drained. So if I'm a builder, I'm going to focus on protecting my construction cycle, eliminating empty house days and building them as quickly as I can. That's where the money is. Your costs may be changing, but the cost of an empty house day is just crazy, $300 to $500 a day for every day a house that's empty. You got to stop that and keep focusing on that. That's number one. And number two, and perhaps more important, is focus on your team. Take care of your team. Be compassionate, be thoughtful, communicate actively with them, encourage them, tell them you're in this for the long haul. Do what you can to keep your team stable and optimistic and positive. Everyone is scared. Everyone's frightened. So your job as a leader is to work with your team, encourage them, support them, let them know that we're going to make it through this, because you will. But you need your team, and you probably lost certain members of your team already. You've got the best and the brightest now, and work with them and take care of them, nurture and feed them. They need support and encouragement now. That's what I would do.
That is great advice, Mark, for a difficult time. Thanks so much for taking the time to talk with us today. I really appreciate it.
It's a pleasure, Denise. Thanks for having me.